I had a lot of, it was rough. Like, we definitely had a lot of tough times growing up, and I think that art and songwriting for me was just this really obvious, really like tangible and visceral way of getting all these things in my head and just like shoving them out so I don't have to think about them anymore. I definitely had a lot of mean people throughout the course of my life. All of a sudden, like within a week, like every single label was like trying to get in. I've never dated anyone before. I'm like 19 and I still haven't even had my first kiss yet. I think growing up I just didn't really feel very much like, you know, very comfortable like with myself.
Hi, this is Engel. Today I'm here with Conan Gray.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I've been watching your stuff for years, so
thank
full
you.
Circle. So were you born in San Diego or Lemon Grove, or?
Yeah, I was born in Lemon Grove, which is like a smallish suburb of San Diego, kind of like close to Tijuana. And yeah, I lived there for a couple years and then moved a billion other places. But yeah, that's where I was born.
And how did your parents meet?
They met, my mom met my dad at some party somewhere in Tijuana, and they were both super young and they got married and had us and then got divorced and got married a billion other times. But yeah, they had a funny little love story, I think.
And was it difficult? Your dad was in the military, right?
Yeah, my dad was in the military growing up, so we definitely moved around a lot. We lived in Japan for a couple years.
Was it your grandfather, right?
Yeah. And yeah, I've moved around a billion times, I think, throughout the course of my life. I was always gone and always just like moving homes until I moved to Texas. Once I moved to Texas in the 6th grade, I just like stayed in Texas for the whole entire rest of like middle school and high school.
Do you think that your short time in Japan like influenced you as a person now?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like being Japanese influenced me a ton, especially like being a Japanese person in Texas is just
really uncommon, right?
Yeah, it's super uncommon, and I think just being Asian in Texas is uncommon. I mean, I was one of like 3 Asian people at my whole entire middle school, so I think just immediately that's just very like ostracizing, you know, makes you kind of different from the other kids. And yeah, I was a really like lonely, quiet child, and I had a lot of time to think, and I think that's what culminated songwriting for me.
How much of a Japanese presence did your mom teach you, like the cultures and everything? Well,
I mean, Japanese was my first language.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah, so it definitely played a really big role in like the way that I am, and I think that I get a lot of my like personality quirks and things like that from my Japanese side for sure.
And this is something I asked a lot of like mixed kids, but did you have any like identity problems growing up or confusion?
Yeah, I'm sure you know. Like,
yeah, as soon as I saw you, I'm like, I know you're mixed.
I know, you just know, right? You just have like a sense. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that like when you're mixed, you're in this like very specific category where you're not white, but you're also not Japanese, and Japanese people know it when they see you. They're like, you must be American.
You're a foreigner.
And white people are obviously like, oh, well, like, you don't look like me. What are you? You know? So yeah, I think it definitely was it was a weird thing growing up. I didn't really know who I was, and I think I spent a lot of my childhood just like thinking about what I was, and by the time I got to high school, I just realized like I am what I am, and it's cool. I like myself, so yeah, that's it really. Yeah, but definitely I think all mixed kids are kind of confused for a large majority of their childhood.
And then what kind of jobs did your mom do?
My mom does like food safety, so she like makes sure that people like don't get poisoned by foods that come out of factories. And growing up, my father had like a slew of jobs.
But like the pool.
Yeah, he like cleaned pools for a bit. But most notably, he was a professional arm wrestler for 7 years. Yeah. And he still is. He's
What's his name? People are gonna look him up.
His name's Greg. He's like super buff, and but the thing about like
that
being
sounds like a really buff guy name.
But the thing about being like a professional arm wrestler is like you don't make money, you're just broke. So me and my siblings, we were just broke our whole lives. Yeah. We always had no money. But it was fun, it was silly. Yeah.
Where do you think you got your creative side from?
I have no clue. Everyone in my family is really technical and like really, yeah, like my sister is a complete opposite of me in every single way. Like she's super good at like math and science, and she's like a nurse now. She has pin straight hair and she like looks nothing like me, and I'm like this crazy like wild child. But yeah, I think I just got it from, I don't know, I think I was just like a really big overthinker, and my childhood definitely like wasn't very like, you know, I had a lot of, it was rough. Like we definitely had a lot of tough times growing up, and I think that art and songwriting for me was just this really obvious, really like tangible and visceral way of getting all these things in my head and just like shoving them out so I don't have to think about them anymore.
What kind of music was played in the house when you were growing up?
I listened to a lot of U2. That was a really big influence, I think, just Bono, and like his voice and his sound was just so big and beautiful. And also I listened to a lot of country music growing up. I think that's like a really like not cool thing to say, but I mean, I'm from Texas. Like I definitely consider Texas home just because I moved around so much when I was little. But yeah, I listened to a lot of country music, so I think a lot of my songwriting stems from country music and its ideals in the way that it's very much like storytelling. Hannah, thank you, Hannah. And it was Vampire Weekend's Modern Vampires of the City. And it was just like the craziest album to me. I remember listening to it like 10,000 times on repeat, and my mother found the CD, like the disc CD, and she threw it away because she was like this music must be satanic. I was very super religious. Like, she was like, there's vampires on this. Like she threw it out. She's like, you're not allowed to listen to this anymore. But yeah, Modern Vampires of the City. I fucking love vampires. the coolest band ever. So
did both sides, like your mom and dad's side, raise you to be really religious?
No, not at all. My dad was like super atheist and really crazy, and like, you know, arm wrestled and like did a bunch of crazy shit, and me and my sister would go over to his house and just kind of like go wild, and then on my mom's side we'd come back home and she'd cook us dinner every night and like, you know, read us the Bible. And yeah, it was definitely like two complete opposite worlds, and I think a really common theme in my life is just that like it changed a lot, like it was just always changing. So I think that the reason why I wrote music and the reason why I was always recording things and always like taking photos is because I was just like so focused on like my life is gonna change within like the next couple of months, I know it, so I wanted to keep grasp of everything that I possibly could. And yeah, definitely had like complete opposite worlds.
So you always went to church, and are you still religious now?
Yeah, we went to church from like ages 6 to like 13, and then after that I was like, I don't want to do this, like I'm just gonna do what I want, because I've always been like super rebellious. I'm not religious anymore, but I'm definitely like wouldn't consider myself an atheist. I think there's like something, but I don't know what it is. Guess we'll find out.
So in school, were you always just really good at the art subjects?
I don't know, I think I kind of kept all my friends like in the dark about me making art. I was very studious. I worked really, really hard in school, and going to college was like a really big goal of mine, so I worked so hard to get into UCLA. And but like in school, especially like most of high school, I did art, but I kind of like didn't really think of it as like a possibility for me to do as a career. And like I did choir in school, I didn't really like it. I was like, it's kind of boring. But yeah, I think when I ended up getting signed and when Idletown ended up doing so well, all my friends were definitely very surprised. They were like, what are you doing? Because all my friends, you know, just normal high school students and from a small town. So, you know, it was definitely weird for them to see it, and I don't know, I kind of was very like focused on school most of the time, on like the traditional subjects.
Was that from within that you were so like hardworking, or was it kind of your mom also pushing you?
It was definitely from within. My parents like really like didn't care growing up, you know, like me and my sister, we just like I think we worked so hard because we knew that, like, if we wanted to get out of the situation that we were in, that we would have to do it ourselves. Like, no one was gonna help us. So we were just always, like, working our asses off our whole lives. We were always just working and working, and I think that I got a lot of my work ethic from my sister. She just has always just been, like, she's just perfect, like, works so hard, so nice to everyone she meets, and I'm just, like, have this mean streak, and I'm just so, like, you know, angry all the time. But yeah, I think I got a lot of my work ethic from her.
Did you play instruments?
Yeah, I played I played piano, and then I started playing guitar when I was, like, 10 or 11, and then from there I just knew guitar was, like, my instrument. And then I kept on playing and started songwriting when I was 12.
Did you take lessons?
I took lessons from this, like, college student that we met for, like, a year. But I like hate being told what to do, so I was, you know, you told me to practice, I wouldn't practice, and yeah, it was definitely a fruitless effort.
When you were young, you made music but you just never put it out?
Yeah, I started songwriting when I was 12 because of Adele. I, like, found out about Adele's existence. I was like, whoa, like, you can write music? Like, I think I'd always written, like, little jingles and things, but I didn't understand that you could write a song. But then, yeah, when I was 12, I just kind of, like, started piecing together, like, fuller songs and more complete songs, and I figured, like, someone might want to hear it, so I was just, you know, I would record them and put them up on the internet, but, you know, no one really gave a shit for most of the time. And then around my senior year of high school, something just clicked, and all of a sudden people were listening.
What were the early songs you wrote about?
I mean, I don't know, when you're 12, you don't really have that much depth. Like, no offense to 12-year-olds, but I just know that 12-year-old me, like, didn't have that much depth. I was just very, like, you know, I'd write about, like, someone who was mean to me one day, like, oh, I hate my life, I want to die, like, I'm 12. But yeah, I think I definitely didn't have very much to write about, but I definitely wrote a lot. Once I found out about songwriting, it was just the love of my life. I wrote, like, you know, a couple songs a day, and a couple songs a day for, like, 8 years. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of songs.
Yeah. And you mentioned previously, like, you got bullied in middle school.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had a lot of mean people throughout the course of my life. I was just a weird kid. I was, like, really quiet and just, you know, I kind of kept to myself and didn't really know the right thing to say at the right time. And yeah, I definitely dealt with a lot of mean people, and I think I, like, am the type of person that, for some reason, I'm, like, very, very scared of everyone, but I'm also very confrontational. So, like, you know, if someone was mean to me, I would just, like, stab them or something. Like, I was really like, I wouldn't let people mess with me. So yeah, I had a lot of mean people, but I always dealt with them somehow.
I was gonna ask you, like, what advice do you have for people who are going through bullying?
I wouldn't advise, because, you know, like, you'd probably get in trouble, but yeah, no, yeah, I just, like, I didn't put up with bullshit. I was like, oh, you can't be mean to me, like, leave me alone. Yeah.
Did they stop coming?
Yeah, they stopped.
Oh wow, so you got the advice is really to beat up people.
No, don't beat up. Also, the thing is, though, like, I had a really good friend group by the time I got to, like, the end of middle school, and by the time I was in high school, like, I just had this big group of friends, and, like, we all just stuck to ourselves, and mean people were, like, didn't really bother. They were like, oh, well, he seems busy, like, he seems preoccupied. And also, like, my friends would always stick up for me. Like, if anyone was ever mean to me, they always, like, told the teachers and stuff like that. I mean, I think that's the most important thing to do. Is just, like, have people who are gonna, like, actually care about you, and also, like, tell an adult, like, it does help. In a way, it helps.
Yeah. And when you were young, your teacher found your YouTube, right, and showed it.
Yeah.
To the class.
Yeah, in 8th grade, like, around the end of the school year, one of my teachers found out about these videos that I'd been making, and they were just these, like, dumb little, like, things around the house. I'd, like, record my dog and, like, look at my dog, you know. But then, yeah, oh my god, a cat.
Oh yeah, oh my god, looks kind of creepy. You guys can see it. Is it? Oh, there, yeah, that's in frame.
Hi.
It's like 2 colors, like brown and
it's so cute.
Black. Really nice.
Yeah, but yeah, they played my videos on like the projector screen, which was terrifying.
Yeah, I was like,
kind
that's
of the worst,
horrifying.
the worst moment. Also, just being like a terrified middle schooler, I was like, I think I'm gonna die right now. Like, I think this is what my death is gonna be. But yeah, we got past it. She was a nice teacher.
What was it like growing up through school that everyone knew you were kind of a YouTuber? Did people treat you differently looking back?
I don't know. I don't think anyone really cared. Also, like, I definitely kept it under wraps as much as I could. You know, the only people that knew were, you know, my friends, and all my friends were just normal high schoolers. Like, no one else was doing what I was doing, so I didn't really feel very much like a YouTuber, and, like, YouTube to me was just, like, this, like, weekend project that I did. Like, I was really sentimental, so I was, like, always recording videos with, like, me and my friends spending time together, and then I was always putting them together and, like, making little, like, diaries and things like that, and I put them up there just because for some reason people liked to see into what I was doing and see into my life, and I think that people like found comfort in the fact that like I was living a pretty normal life, and like I wanted people to see how beautiful a like normal suburban life is, even though like my childhood wasn't very normal or suburban at all. But yeah.
What were the early inspirations for kind of your aesthetic, for your videos, and then how that transitioned into your music?
I'm not sure. I think my aesthetic was built a lot by like being a Texan. Like, I think for the rest of the world, like seeing my clothing, doggy.
So many pets on this.
I think that like the rest of the world saw my like clothing style and things like that and thought it was like kind of weird, but I mean it was pretty like everyone in Texas kind of dressed like that. And also like I think just like not really growing up with very much money, like thrift shopping wasn't like a thing that we did because it was like cool, you know, like it was a thing that we did because we didn't have money, you know. And I was like I think getting that like retro feel was just something that came out of like buying clothes that were like actually old, you know. And yeah, I think I wanted to just like make the best out of what I had, and I thought it was really cool how like you could like thrift shop and like get things secondhand and still look as cool as you want to look, you know.
What about Idle Time clicked to you that you wanted to put it out kind of as a single and take it seriously?
Yeah, well, I definitely didn't take it seriously when I was making it. Like, I very specifically remember writing it in my shower, like while I was showering, and I recorded it on a like really, really cheap microphone that I'd like saved up money for, and that I taped onto a broken lamp, and I like produced it myself on GarageBand, and it definitely like I didn't know that anything was gonna come of it. I recorded the music video on like a point-and-shoot camera, like worse than this one, and I just drove through like my hometown, and yeah, I didn't really think anything was gonna come out of this music or what I was doing, and then just like put it up there on a whim. People liked it, so I was like, I wonder if I can put this on Spotify. Like, I wanted to figure that out, and I figured it out, put it up there, and then like within a week it gone on the charts, which was just bizarre, you know, because I was really just like a kid from Texas. Like, we had no clue. My friends were all shocked, and it was really crazy.
What were you going to study at UCLA?
Well,
or on track for now? Yeah,
I'm studying communications and also like some music industry stuff. But yeah, I'm taking a quarter off because I'm on tour. Yay! Which is really fun. It's like everything I wanted to do with my life, so I was like, oh, maybe I'll take a little time off.
What kind of career path did you have in mind? Did you feel like you could make it as a musician?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't think that I was gonna make it as a musician. Like, I don't know, just so much happened in a year. I'd always been writing, but I never really expected anyone to listen, and for me, like, writing was always just like out of necessity, and I wrote the EP, like my upcoming EP, without even really like realizing that I'd done it. And then we like produced it with one of our friends, Dan, and like, you know, we were just planning on releasing it ourselves, and then like I got signed and all these crazy things happened. But yeah, I mean, when I entered college, I really thought I was just gonna like go to college and then like work an office job, and you know, you make plans for life and they never actually go the way you think. And it's been a really crazy, super exciting ride.
Were a lot of labels reaching out to you?
It was a really weird thing. It it was like all of a sudden, like within a week, like every single label was like trying to get in, and I don't know, it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
It was really fast. Like people always like, oh, it happens fast, but like it really happened fast.
And you're with Republic now?
Yeah,
or?
I'm with Republic. Love my little family.
How did you decide to sign with them?
They were just like the coolest. Like they were just so nice and like extreme. Like they just like were so like extremely in love with me. I was like, I just knew it was I just knew it was the right pick. And also like Republic, like all my favorite artists are in Republic.
Yes.
Like Lorde and Florence and like James Blake and just like so many fucking amazing people. So I just yeah, it just was pretty clear to me.
What was the inspiration behind Crush Culture, the song and the video?
Well, I've never dated anyone before. I'm like 19 and I still haven't even had my first kiss yet. So, but like throughout high school, all my friends were always dating people and gone through like a lot of boyfriends and girlfriends and things like that. So I was always like super bitter about it. You know, I'd see them and I was like, ugh, disgusting. Like y'all are so in love and I didn't have it at all. My dad. I have to say hi to everyone.
Every animal we pass.
Yeah, and then I directed the video myself because I just like knew I had this like very clear vision of like me going through this high school just like destroying every single couple's dates I possibly could. But yeah, I think Crush Culture like came out of this spot of bitterness. I think everyone who's single kind of looks at people who are in love and you kind of want to be happy for them, but you're more just kind of like, God, like y'all are so disgustingly in love, and it's like, I want to be you, but I can't, so I'm just going to beat you up, you know? Yeah, that was my logic.
And what was the idea behind your like girly boy videos with the nail polish and everything? Was that something that has always like been a theme throughout your life, kind of?
Yeah, I think like growing up I definitely didn't feel very much like...
Watch where you're going.
This pavement is like 3 feet, by the way.
I think like, yeah, I think growing up I just didn't really feel very much like, you know, very comfortable like with myself, and oh, we might get hit by this pickup truck.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just pass. I think it just kind of came out of, like, I didn't really know what my identity was. I didn't really like, know who I was, but then like growing up and like kind of seeing all these people and meeting new people, I realized like it doesn't really matter what I am. Like if I want to do something, then I'll do it. If I want to paint my nails, then I'll do it. Like, you know, we live in a time now where because of all the people in the past who like, you know, fought for our rights to express ourselves the way that we want and to love who we want, that like I get to be this person who just gets to say like, oh, I don't really know what I am, and but I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I know that I'm in a safe space to do it now because of the people in the past who fought for us.
How would you say your music has changed compared to early songs you wrote?
I think like the beginning music was like really like folk singer-songwriter country music, just because it was like what I listened to. And also I just like I had a guitar, you know, so yeah, I think it changed a lot, and I've been learning a lot throughout the process. There's definitely like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of really, really bad songs for every single like good song that I'm able to write, and yeah, I think it just changed a lot from being like this very like folky, weird singer-songwriter stuff to what I have now, which is definitely like a lot more synthy, and I love like harmonies, and I love having tons and tons of vocal layers and all these things that are like really exciting to me. Yeah.
How would you say you've grown as a person compared to when you were younger?
I think I was just like a really, really like scared kid. I was like really scared of people and of myself and everything around me, but I think over the years I finally have like fallen into myself and accepted myself for what I am, and just become a comfortable person, which is a really hard thing. Like, people act like it's so easy to just like accept yourself, but I think it takes a long time, and I think I had an exceptionally long process just because I was just so confused, like didn't know who I was, but I think I finally like am figuring it out, and I feel a lot more comfortable with who I am.
What would you say have been your biggest challenges so far in your life?
I don't know, I think growing up I was always so focused on like getting out of my hometown and getting out of my family and just being able to survive, that definitely took precedent over like figuring out who I was as a person. I was always just like trying to figure out like how I can move out and how I can pay for rent and things like that. So I think the biggest challenge for me growing up was just like getting out and growing up. I think I had to grow up really, really fast, so yeah.
What does love mean to you?
I think love is everything, and I think that love is a lot more than romantic. I think there's like a lot more, like many more facets to it than people think, and I know I have a ton of love in my life, even though I may not have very much romantic love. And yeah, I feel super loved, and I feel super lucky that now in 2018 that love is this extremely beautiful, big, like undefinable thing.
Yeah. Last question. What do you want to be remembered for?
Oh goodness. That's a tough one. I just hope that my lasting legacy in the world is just that I've like made a positive impact on anyone's life, you know. I would hate for what I end up being something that, you know, hurts people. I just really hope that I make a lot of people feel a lot of things and help them kind of understand themselves as I'm understanding myself.
I love this so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.